Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about the April new moon, which is April 8th, which is a total solar eclipse. Remember what an eclipse is. It's when you have either a new moon, that's a solar eclipse, and that means the sun and the moon are exactly conjunct. And a lunar eclipse is a full moon, which is where they're both tied up with Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu and Ketu are the nodes of the moon. So Rahu is the north node, Ketu is the south node. And I just want you to know that these are points in reference to the alignment of the sun, the moon, and the earth. This is when they all come together. This is eclipse season. So we are in eclipse season now, and we have this total solar eclipse where the sun's light is going to be blocked by the moon. Now, isn't it so interesting when you think about the sun being so massively big as comparison to the moon, but they perfectly cover each other during the times of eclipses? I don't think this is an accident. I think this is also meaningful in the symbology of what it's all about. So the moon will block the light of the sun. And in ancient times when they had these eclipses, they would terrify people because in the middle of the day, all of a sudden it became very dark. People were freaking out. But over time, we learned what an eclipse is and what's going on astronomically. But before I keep going, let me remind everyone, as I always do, to sign up for my free newsletter. With this, you're going to be getting all of my predictions delivered to your email absolutely free. So go to my website, galacticcenter.org, and while you're there, don't forget to check out my Patreon page. My new Patreon page is amazing. You will be getting exclusive information from me. We will come together twice in a week with live classes and communicate. It is a community of like-minded people. So check it out at galacticcenter.org. And remember, I have an all-online university to learn Vedic astrology. If that interests you, go to my university website, universityofvedicastrology.com. So moving on about the April solar eclipse, April 8th. This is so profound because this month we have the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on the 20th of April, representing a major awakening. Then we have this eclipse that's happening in Pisces. And what I want you to know about this eclipse that's happening, so much is going on all at the same time this month. Mercury turns retrograde on April 1st, and it backs up to the place where the eclipse has already occurred. So Mercury is going to be crossing over Rahu. And actually on the day that it turns direct, it's exactly conjunct Rahu. So this means people are out of their minds. People are going crazy this month. This is a month of radical shifts and changes. Now, this eclipse is going to be happening at 25 degrees of Pisces in the nakshatra called Revati. And Revati is a very positive nakshatra. This is what's good. So I believe all these changes are happening for the highest good. Something good is coming about. This is happening in the last sign of the zodiac, in the last nakshatra. So this is the ending of many things. But the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction also represents it's a new beginning. So there's endings and beginnings, and it's going to be phenomenal in the end. But let me just say, we've got to go through a very, very destructive period to get there. There is going to be a new world coming, an awakening of where the truth is finally out there. And this means the light will take over the goodness of the world. So it's in these dark phases where the darkness, the negativity is losing ground. So therefore it becomes, fights harder, but it won't take over. The light, the goodness is coming from this eclipse. Now, as I've been saying, this eclipse, it's eclipse path, which means where it's most visibly seen, the most will cross over, starting from Mexico up through Texas. And the one that happened last October crossed over Texas, going the other direction. So there's a big X through the US and crossing over Texas. I know you've heard me say this before if you've been watching my videos, but this is so symbolic that the eclipse paths are happening. And what I think this could be indicating is a big shift. It's starting in Texas. There will be a split in the United States, and it's all coming due to, well, it's been coming for a long, long time. But this is the year, this is the initiation between eclipse periods that we're going to have the big, if I should say, shakedown. So there's a big split, a big divide. And what I'm seeing is, well, actually, from last October, we've had so much happening that's indicating this. And now before the eclipse that occurs next early October, this is going to be where the change really starts to kick in. So we're going to see that next October is another crisis time of something major that will happen. But watch where everything's headed. From this point on, this eclipse marks the spot. So one thing I want you to know about eclipses for yourself personally, they always bring out something that you didn't know about. Because what is it? It's the darkening of the light. So in this video, I wanted to focus more on what it is that this could bring out that you possibly didn't know about in your own life. I want you to contemplate and look. And here's a clue. If you're old enough, I mean the last time that this eclipse went in this particular sign, Pisces, this eclipse, oh, by the way, I wanted to say this. I got this book out to read more about eclipses. This is my book on Rahu and Ketu, our karmic destiny through eclipses. As you can see on the cover, there is an eclipse. But this is the book if you want to learn more about eclipse energy and your own chart. And when the last time Rahu and Ketu were in particular signs, this book gives all the reference points. So Rahu and Ketu, as you well know, go through the entire zodiac every 18 and a half years. And so therefore they stay in one sign for a year and a half. And the very last time that Rahu and Ketu were in Pisces and Virgo 18 and a half years ago was 2005 and 2006. What happened to you then? That's what I want you to think about, because something reminiscent of that time will come about. So if you weren't like really young, maybe you can recognize some of the dealings that you went through during that time, because this is what's going to happen again. Of course, there's going to be differences, but something very symbolic will happen. And it might be relative to something that you went through during that phase of your life. It will come back and you will get to reassess it, reanalyze it. Now, during the time of this April solar eclipse, I noticed that Mercury is at 0 degrees of Aries and it is retrograde. This represents that it's Gandanta. People are out of control, the way they think, the way they communicate, the way they pass on information. Mercury is the thinking mind in communications, and it's out of control. Another thing is, because it's in Aries, but it's going to go back into Pisces the very next day, there's going to be all sorts of severe weather This is when Mercury is going to be 29 degrees of Pisces. Not only is it in the last degree of the zodiac, but the last sign, the last degree of the zodiac, and it is about storms and violence, and you know, everything seems to get more extreme when it comes to storms and violence in the world. But this is people being out of control. Gandanta literally means drowning. Well, it means a knot, but my teacher always taught me it dealt with drowning. And a lot of people that have a planet around 29 degrees of a water sign actually did go through some kind of drowning. And this means basically if they didn't, there's something about their life that seems to be out of control. That's one thing I'm going to say. It's something about being out of control. And around the time of this eclipse, we have Mars and Saturn together. That's never a happy conjunction. It always deals with major uprising. Mars can be war. Saturn can be something. Another thing is it's people that appear to be something they're not. Why do I say that? Because they're going to come together at 20 degrees this month. And this will be around April 10th that they come together at 20 degrees. And that's in the nakshatra called Purva Bhadrapada. That nakshatra means a man with two faces. And so many times it can be a visionary seeing into the future and the past. But more than likely, it's someone that pretends to be something they're not. They're two-faced. So watch instances throughout this month going on concerning this. But going back to this eclipse energy, it is going to be so profound because it is 21 degrees. You're going to see that as it comes together with the sun, the moon, there's going to be major changes in political rule around the world. Who is in politics? Possibly even a change of president here, possibly in Europe. But watch and see, because eclipses are always major surprises and shifts. They say you can't predict an eclipse because it's totally unpredictable. It just always is what you don't expect. So realize that there's going to be something we don't expect that's going to take place in April concerning world affairs and probably with world leaders, because that's what the sun rules. And the sun is being blocked out, the light of the sun. So what does that mean? Revelations, changes about leaders around the world. That's what I think this solar eclipse is going to bring. And major storms. And don't forget, around the time of eclipses, we have more earthquakes. But let me explain one more thing about eclipses. So Rahu and Ketu, when they come together with the luminaries, the sun and the moon, this is when we have eclipses. But the nodes stay still. In other words, they become sort of stationary during the time of eclipses. So for 3 months, Rahu and Ketu will remain at the same degree, which is 21 degrees of Pisces and Virgo. They will remain at that degree between the months of March, April, and May. So that's what I call the eclipse season. And this means during those 3 months, you are going to see radical changes, big shifts and changes with earth changes, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and earthquakes. You're going to see floods and storms like never before. And the other thing is violence. So I know you probably say, where is the good news? The good news is we have to go through this cleansing to detoxify this world. That's what's happening. And what's going to come out on the other side is something far greater than you've ever known. The world is changing for the better. But as I said, there is a deep, insidious darkness that wants to take over, but it can't, because the light will cleanse. And the world is going to be a better place. But don't kid yourself. Those forces are going to struggle as hard as they can, making it look like they are taking over, but they can't and they won't. The world is changing, and this is why we're experiencing so much destruction and revelations with war, violence, and earth changes and storms. But it's just a reaction to the change. And let me just say this, it is definitely a new birthing. So something new will be birthed into the world, and that's going to be fabulous. And we're all going to come out the other side grateful and happy. So with that, I think I'll close. If you would like more information on me, remember, if you'd like a reading or you want to sign up for my newsletter or Patreon, go to galacticcenter.org. And if you want to study with me, become my student, go to my university website, which is universityofvedicastrology.com. Thank you.